Good morning, everyone. This is the fourth lecture for your chapter, Neural Control and Coordination. Up till the previous class, we have discussed the structure of your brain and the functional areas of the brain. Today, we will be talking about the spinal cord, which is the second part of your central nervous system. Okay, CNS is made up of brain and spinal cord. So, we will be talking about the spinal cord as well as we will be talking about the peripheral nervous system. So let us begin. Spinal cord, it is a continuation of medulla oblongata. Okay, the last cylindrical portion of your brain is known as medulla oblongata. Now this medulla oblongata, it continues in neural canal of the vertebral column as spinal cord. So what is this neural canal of vertebral column? Vertebral column is made up of bones. Okay, first thing to remember, your vertebrae or vertebral column is made up of bones. So here this outermost grayish white colored thing you see is all your bone. Fine. So this here, the small portion in between is your spinal cord, and it is surrounded by your vertebral column. Okay, it is protected by your vertebral column. So in between this vertebral column, you have this small tube-like structure. This tube is known as neural canal. Okay, and in this neural canal, you find your spinal cord to be present. It is covered by dura mater, arachnoid, and pia mater. Fine, just like your brain, the outermost layer is called dura mater, which can be easily visible in this bottom diagram. Okay, you can see this outermost covering is the dura mater. Dura comes from the word durable, as I understand that you must have already known, right? From the previous lecture. So the dura mater, the durable outermost covering, fibrous covering, followed by arachnoid matter. Okay, arachnoid also we had discussed. It is made up of collagen and it is web-like structure. Fine. So the second layer is arachnoid matter as shown here in the both diagrams. And the innermost layer is a very thin, a very vascular layer. Okay, and that layer is called pia mater. Pia mater is vascular, meaning it brings the blood vessels and blood capillaries, okay, closer to your nervous tissue. So these are the outermost meninges, okay, singular is menix, plural is meninges, and these meninges they protect your spinal cord. Now something to remember, something that is different than your brain is a space, okay, between your dura mater, which is this redmost portion shown in the above diagram. So this red portion is your dura mater. Above the dura mater and between the dura mater and the vertebra, there is a space. Okay, there is some cavity left. This cavity is called epidural cavity or epidural space. Clear? So this epidural space, as shown here, it is filled with your adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is a fatty tissue. Okay, it stores lipids, it stores fats. So this epidural space is filled with fat. It is not present in your brain, it is only seen in your spinal cord. And how to remember? It is above the dura, right? So above or upon means epi. Wherever you hear the term epi, it means above. So epidural space. So above the dura mater. Clear? The length of the spinal cord in humans, it is around 42 to 45 centimeter. Again, it depends from age to age and gender to gender. In a mature female body, the length of spinal cord is around 42 to 43 centimeter. And in an adult male body, the length of the spinal cord is 45 centimeter. Okay, so you can say it is a range from 42 to 45 centimeter, depending on the person's age, the person's height, and the person's maturity. Okay, the weight of the spinal cord is around 35 grams only. So can you think about it? It is very light in weight. It is very small structure. Fine. The most of the structure that you can feel from the outside is your vertebral column, and inside the vertebral column is this tiny, tiny structure which is your spinal cord. The whole spinal cord can weigh only up to 35 grams. So it is a very small structure comparatively. Okay. Chalo. So this is how it is connected at your neck region. You see, this is your skull, okay, khopri, and beneath your skull, these are your vertebral columns. A single bone here is known as vertebrae. So the vertebral column, it is made up of different sorts of vertebrae. Fine. Now, zooming in on this area where both of these things are connected, you have a space, okay, an opening, which is known as foramen magnum. And through this foramen magnum, the medulla oblongata, it ends here in the skull. And beneath that, your spinal cord, it starts. Okay, this yellow colored structure is your spinal cord. The first vertebrae is known as atlas, and the second one is known as axis. Okay, so atlas and axis are the vertebral column parts which are present at this junction of your brain and your spinal cord. Clear? Chalo, talking a little detail about the spinal cord anatomy. It extends from the base of the skull, which was this. Okay, this is the base of the skull here, to the lumbar vertebra. Lumbar is the lowermost portion of your back. Okay, so lumbar vertebra, here it will be L1. I do not know if how much you know about your vertebral column. Okay, there is a formula even for your vertebra. Okay, so go and revise about it. That is your homework. You have to find out the formula for your vertebral column. Okay, just the basics. You have your cervical vertebrae, which are near your neck, okay, up till your shoulder. Then you have thoracic, which cover your chest area. Then your back is covered by this lumbar vertebrae. Then you have sacral, and finally coccyx. Okay, so here what we are talking about spinal cord, it starts from the base of the skull, which is here, to your lumbar vertebra number 1. Fine, which is here, by the way. Yeah. So the group of spinal nerve at the terminal end of spinal cord forms a tail-like structure called cauda equina. So here you can see that your spinal cord, it is ending here. Okay, I don't know how much of it is visible to you, but only the darker colored parts. Okay, this is your spinal cord. It is starting from here, and you can trace it all till here, right, which is around your L1. Beneath this L1, you can see a lot of fibers, okay, like hair-like structure, ponytail-like structure. That is exactly what is meant by cauda. Wherever you hear this term, C-A-U-D-A, cauda or caudal, okay, it means tail. So cauda, and then you have equina. Equina comes from the name of horse, okay. So equinus is horse. So cauda equina means ponytail-like structure, okay, horse tail-like structure. So that is what you are seeing here, the blue and the purple colored fibers. They look like a horse tail, right? So that part is called cauda equina. It is made up of terminal spinal nerves, okay, it is made up of nerves. And if you remember, nerves are considered in peripheral nervous system, okay. Your central nervous system ends at lumbar vertebrae number 1. The lowermost part is known as conus medullaris. So this portion, okay, the last most swollen portion. Let me show it to you better in this left diagram. Okay, you can see pons, that is your brain, medulla oblongata, that is also your brain, hindbrain, and following the hindbrain you have the spinal cord. In the spinal cord, you have two places where there is a little enlargement, a little swollen structure. Okay, so you can see here it is a little swollen here. So this is called cervical enlargement, and it is a little swollen here towards the end. This is called lumbar enlargement. The end of lumbar enlargement is a cone shaped structure. Okay, remember the ice cream cone? Same. Okay, cone like structure is present here, and this is known as conus medullaris. Okay, and conus medullaris, its end forms a thread like structure which is seen here, and this thread like structure is known as phylum terminale. Okay, Now, phylum terminale or phylum terminale, however you want to remember it as, it is a non-nervous part. Okay, it is not a nerve, and it is just a connective tissue. Okay, it is a non-nervous part that is just continued from your spinal cord. Fine. So this is the anatomy of your spinal cord. It starts from your cervical number one vertebrae, which is base of your skull. Okay, the first vertebrae is atlas, the second vertebrae is axis. Starts from there. It ends around lumbar vertebrae number one, which is the lowermost portion, not the lowermost, but the lower portion of your back. After this lowermost portion of your back, or the lumbar vertebrae number one, you have hair-like nerves which are present. These are together known as chorda equina. The end portion of this spinal cord, which is cone in shape, is known as conus medullaris. Clear till here? And here you can see the phylum terminale. Clear? Which is the dural part. Okay. So now, how many of these nerves are present? Can you see that these are your vertebrae? Okay, these are the bones. This is a side view of your vertebral column, and in between you can see the neural canal in which your spinal cord is present. On both sides, you have vertebrae which are seen in cross section. Now, if you focus carefully, between the spaces of two vertebra, okay, you have a nerve which is coming out of the spinal cord. Clear? So, how many nerves are there and from which place they are arising? For that also we have a formula, and this is the formula. The nerves arising or ending in the spine are called spinal nerves, and the spinal nerves are total 31 in number. Clear? So the spinal nerves or the peripheral nervous system, which is from your spinal cord, the number or the formula is like this. You have C8. Okay, C8 means cervical nerves are 8 in number. Here you have C 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Roman number, okay, which are shown here, C 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, are the number of your vertebral column, and the outermost number shown here are the number for your nerves. So in your first section, in your cervical section, you have 8 nerves. Then in your thoracic section, you have 12 nerves. In your lumbar region, you have 5 nerves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In your sacral region, you have 5 more nerves. And in your coccyx or coccyx region, however you pronounce it, so in that region, you have 1 nerve. Clear? That is a final nerve which will be present there. So together, if you total this up, the number is 31. There are 31 nerves which arise from your spinal cord. Now let us discuss a little bit about the cross section and the finer structures on your spinal cord. Unlike your brain, in your brain, the outermost region, okay, your cortex region was gray matter and inner region was white matter. Here it is quite opposite. You can see this is a cross section of your vertebral column, and in vertebral column especially only your spinal cord is seen. Okay, so in your spinal cord you can see that the outermost portion is white matter. Here this is all white here, and innermost portion forms a butterfly like shape, okay, or H shape, however you want to remember it as. So this butterfly shaped part is your gray matter. Fine. One thing I forgot to mention in the last class is your medulla oblongata and pons. Okay, these are the two organs of your brain which also have this sort of arrangement. Their outermost part is also white and inner part is gray, just like your spinal cord. Okay, so those are the only two parts of your brain which show this sort of structure. Fine. Now let us see a little bit more in detail. You have dorsal horn and ventral horn. For clearer picture, you can look at this upper diagram. Okay, the upper side is called the dorsal region. Dorsal meaning towards your back, and this portion here in the front is your ventral region. Ventral meaning front. Okay, So this is dorsal and this is ventral. Now these two pointed ends, okay, coming out in the on the dorsal side, these gray matter coming out on the dorsal side is known as dorsal horns, and the two coming on the ventral side are known as ventral horns. Clear? So dorsal horns and ventral horns. Fine. It is a bit more clear in this picture compared to the next one. Anyway, so these dorsal horns and the ventral horns, when you look at them, they continue into some nerve fibers. Okay, they continue into bundle of nerve fibers, which are known as dorsal root and ventral root. Clear? So here you can see this is the dorsal horn. From the dorsal horn, you have starting of your dorsal root. Okay, can you see here it is written dorsal root entry zone, which means it is this point where the dorsal root or the nerve fibers begin. This nerve fibers together, the bundle is known as dorsal root. Okay, same thing here, you can find the ventral root coming out from the ventral horn. Clear? The dorsal root, it moves a little and then you find this swollen structure. This swollen structure is actually dorsal root ganglion. Remember the definition for ganglion we had discussed, right? Nuclei in case of central nervous system, ganglion in case of peripheral nervous system. What are ganglions? They are nothing but a group of axon, a group of cytons, okay, or your cell bodies is known as ganglion. Fine. So here on the dorsal root, you find a swollen region which is called dorsal root ganglion, which means all the neuron heads, okay, or the cytons, neuron cell bodies will be present here. The dorsal root ganglia is composed of pseudo-unipolar type sensory neurons. Okay, this is more clear in the bottom diagram. You can see here is your sensory neuron, which is pseudo-unipolar in structure. Just go ahead, go and refer to your types of neurons, and we have studied this type of neuron, which is called pseudo-unipolar. Okay, pseudo-unipolar means from the cell body or the cyton, you see only one single neurite coming out. But this neurite goes ahead and branches into two parts, okay? One on the left, one on the right. So this kind of neuron is called pseudo-unipolar neuron. Pseudo means false. It looks like it is just having one pole, okay? One neuron, neurite, but it actually has two. So it is called pseudo-unipolar neuron. Now the pseudo-unipolar neuron is sensory in nature. What does sensory mean? Sensory means it will be receiving all the sensations from your body. Okay, let us say you if somebody taps on your shoulder, then this is also a sensation. Okay, touch. So that touch, that pressure will be felt and transmitted through this sensory neuron. Okay, so dorsal root ganglion is made up of sensory neurons, which are pseudo unipolar in nature. The ventral root ganglion, which is not seen here because it is present way ahead, okay, it is not present anywhere closer to your spinal cord, but the ventral root ganglia, they are normally composed of multipolar type of motor neurons. Multipolar, also you remember, it means from the cell body, from the cyton, you have a lot of processes coming out. Okay, so it has more than two dendrites and it has one axon. So such kind of neurons are multipolar, and their function is motor neurons, which means they will be uh, taking the signals from the central nervous system, providing the signals, or sending these signals to the effector organ, which can be a muscle. Clear? So here very clearly you are able to see what happens. Fine. From the receptor, which can be any place. Okay, it could be your skin, it could be your joints, it could be your muscles. These are your receptors. From where you are getting the signal, okay, sensations you are getting. These sensations are taken up from this dorsal root ganglion and sent to your spinal cord. Then from the spinal cord, some decision is made. okay, or it goes to the brain and there the decision is made. That decision is then given out using this ventral root and through the ventral root ganglion. This ventral root will go to your muscles or the effector organs, clear, and it will tell the organ or the effector tissue what it has to do. Fine. So this is the finer structure of your spinal cord. It has white matter outside, gray matter inside. The top two parts, okay, which are on the dorsal side are called dorsal horn. The ventral two parts are called ventral horns. They divide the white matter into four sections. You can see this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fine. From the dorsal horn arises your dorsal root, which is nothing but fibers, okay, nerve fibers. These nerve fibers, they gather around and form a swollen region. This swollen region is actually known as dorsal root ganglion, and it is made up of all of your cell bodies, okay, cytons. Then you have ventral root. This ventral root also starts from your ventral horn, and from the ventral horn it is forming this ventral root. There is a place here where both the dorsal root and the ventral root they meet, okay, and then that nerve is carried outwards. Clear? So that was all about the structure of the spinal cord, the anatomy of spinal cord. Let us now understand the function of spinal cord. Okay, in this diagram, whatever you are seeing, the yellow colored portion is showing your spinal cord. And from the yellow colored portion, the yellow fibers that are coming out are the nerve fibers, okay, or nerves. And these nerves take the information to the organs or bring the information from the organs. Fine. So from the yellow colored ones, whatever you're seeing is under your control of spinal cord, and the blue structures that you're seeing, okay, they are your cranial nerves and they are under your brain's control. Fine. So you can see that it is controlling or it is bridging between two major systems. Okay, so it acts as a bridge between brain and the different organs that you see here. Fine. It also provides a relay path for impulses coming from the brain. Okay, so so there can be sensations which are coming from your organs. These sensations, these signals are taken to the brain. The brain then decides what it has to do, and the reply, okay, the replied messages or signals, they come down the spinal cord and then they are given to the organs. Clear? So it provides a relay path for impulses coming from the brain. Spinal cord also regulates and conducts most of the reflex action. We shall study reflex action after studying nerve impulse conduction. But what basically reflex action is, just in one line, if I want to tell you, if you touch something pointed or if you touch something hot and you take your hand away immediately, this is known as reflex, okay, a reflex action. And this reflex action a lot of times is managed by your spinal cord. So we shall study that later when we study reflex actions. Clear? So this was all about the spinal cord. Now let us talk about the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is the system excluding your brain and your spinal cord. Okay, all the nerves that you see coming out of these two organs are termed as peripheral nervous system. So here are the three different types of neurons that you see in your peripheral nervous system. The first type of neuron is pseudo-unipolar neuron, as we just saw in the dorsal root ganglion. Okay, what is the function of this neuron? It is a sensory neuron. That means from the sense organs, it is receiving the signals, and these signals are going to your central nervous system, okay, which is here shown as spinal cord. So sensory neuron, pseudo-unipolar in nature, it is receiving all the sensations, all the signals, all the impulses, and these impulses are transmitted to your central nervous system. The second type of neuron that you see are called motor neurons or somatic motor neuron. What does this mean? The cell body, okay, it is present inside your central nervous system or attached to your central nervous system. It is receiving the signals from your central nervous system and passing these signals to your skeletal muscles. Okay, so this is called a motor neuron. Motor means movement. Fine, it is a multipolar type of neuron. Then there are autonomic motor neurons. Autonomic means that these functions are happening without your knowledge. Okay, they are under the control of central nervous system, but not under your direct voluntary control, like your heartbeat or your breathing. All of this, okay, will be taken care of by these autonomic motor neurons. Autonomic motor neurons, they are normally made up of more than one neurons. Okay, um, so here is the first neuron. It is multipolar in nature. Its cyton lies near the central nervous system. It carries the message forward to the next neuron. This next neuron is the one which mostly forms a ganglion. Okay, so there are many such cell bodies which will be forming a ganglion, and from the ganglion the message will be transferred to a smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, or glands. Clear? So smooth muscles may be present on your let us say digestive tract, okay, which moves the food ahead. Then cardiac muscle for your heartbeats, okay, for your muscle pumping the blood, okay. And then you have glands which secrete certain secretions. It could be HCl, it could be pepsinogen in case of your stomach. Then it could be pancreas secreting its secretions. So all of these are under control of your autonomic motor neurons. Clear? So these are the three different types of neurons that you see in PNS. Two major types you have to remember are sensory neurons, which sense something, and the second type is motor neuron, which send the signals to the organs. Now, before we move ahead, it is important to understand the meaning or the structure of the term nerve. Now, before this also, we have discussed this term in this lecture as well as in previous lectures. Nerve is nothing but it is a group of axons. Okay, if it is a group of your neuron cell bodies, then it is termed as ganglia. If it is a group of your axons, it is called a nerve or a nerve fiber. When you look at these nerves, they are actually forming a bundle. Okay, and that bundle is covered by your connective tissue. Fine, so this whole nerve is covered by a tissue. Inside you can see there are veins and blood vessels present, okay, arteries and veins. If you take this one section, in this one section you can find these yellow colored cross sections, which are nothing but they are axons, okay, which are myelinated axons. This yellow color is myelin, and the black dot in between, okay, that those are the axons. So the bundle of such axons is called a nerve. Clear? Will you be able to remember this much? Nerve. It is nothing but a collection of axons. Fine. So there are three types of nerves in PNS. As we discussed, three types of neurons. Okay, it is very much similar. You have a sensory nerve. Sensory nerve is what? It is just like this. It is a nerve, okay, but you can, as you can see, it begins from the sense organ. Okay, so the cell bodies are present near your sense organs. These cell bodies, they will be receiving the signal like touch, temperature, pressure, pain. All of these senses will be passed on to the central nervous system. Then this portion here, okay, these nerves are called sensory nerves. They are bringing the stimulus, okay, or the impulse, the signal from the sense organ towards the CNS. These are also known as efferent nerves. Do you remember that? Efferent, I had told you, you have to remember arrival, okay, and efferent means they are arriving towards the central nervous system. Okay, so these sensory nerves are efferent in nature. From the organs, they are reaching to your central nervous system. The second type of nerve is called motor nerve. Motor nerve is your CNS. Okay, it could be your brain, it could be a spinal cord, which takes the decision. And this decision, this signal is passed on to the sense or to the organs. Okay, so you can see the cell bodies of such neurons are present near the CNS, and they are axons. Okay, they carry the message to the organs. So this here is an example of efferent nerve. Efferent means away from the CNS. Okay, it is taking the message from the CNS, away from the CNS towards the target organ. Clear? So this here is a motor nerve. Then some nerves can be mixed nerves. As you can see here, the mixed nerve, okay, it has axons from both types of neurons. One which is a sensory neuron and bringing the sensations and the impulses from the organ to your central nervous system, and second type of neuron which is going in the opposite direction. You can see it is bringing the message from the central nervous system and bringing it to the organ. Okay, so these are the three types of nerves you find in the PNS, peripheral nervous system. All the nerves arising or ending in the brain or spinal cord are included in peripheral nervous system. Okay, these nerves either they start from the central nervous system, that is in case of motor nerve, okay, and mixed nerve. You can see it starts from the CNS and ends in the organ. Or in case of sensory nerve, it starts in the organ, it ends in the CNS. Fine. So all the nerves that are either arising or ending in the brain and spinal cord are included in the peripheral nervous system. This all these nerves that you're seeing, okay, from your brain, these are called cranial nerves, and from your spinal cord, they are called spinal nerves. Fine. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Okay, they are always in pair. So there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves which are found in reptiles, birds, and mammals. The amphibians and fishes and all, they have 10 pair, but we have 12 pair of cranial nerves. When talking about the spinal nerves, we have 31 pair as discussed in the previous section when we were discussing spinal cord. Okay, we even saw the formula of the spinal nerves. Clear? So spinal nerves, because there are 31 total, we will not be focusing on them. Rather, we will be talking about in detail about your cranial nerves, which are just 12 in number. Fine. So cranial nerves, these are the numbers. They are normally given Roman numerals, okay, Roman numbers. So you can start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till the 12th cranial nerve. This sequence is very, very important. You have to remember it. There is no other option. Fine. So you start from the first, you end at the 12th. The first nerve, the pair of nerves, as you can see, they are always in pair. The first pair is called olfactory. Then comes optic, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial, vestibulocochlear, glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory, and hypoglossal. Now I tried to find a good mnemonic for this, and the best I could do was this. Okay, mnemonic is a short form or a funny sentence that you can remember to recall this arrangement. Okay, this list. So the mnemonic is on they traveled and found Voldemort guarding very ancient Horcruxes. Now, I don't know how many of you are Harry Potter fans, but for them it might be a little easier to remember. On they traveled. You can remember one on for Harry, one on for Ron, and one on for Hermione. Okay, so on they traveled and found Voldemort guarding very ancient Horcruxes. Now, if you have any other mnemonic for this, please feel free to share it on the group. Okay, we can all develop on the basis of this common knowledge. Fine. But as far as I am concerned, I could not come up with anything better. So we have to make do with this. Chalo. So first on is for olfactory. Olfactory, the term olfaction means the sense of smell. Okay, so from this, can you remember olfactory? The outermost part of your face, okay, the part that is pointed and coming out is your nose. So from your nose, remember olfactory. Clear? Then comes optic. Optic are your eyes. So after nose, remember the eyes. Okay, so you have optic nerve. Then comes oculomotor. Now this oculomotor, it is also a nerve related to your eye. and as the name suggests, it is for movement of the eye. Okay, so these are the three O's: on and on: olfactory, optic, and oculomotor. Then comes trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial. Facial is also very easy to remember because it has to do with your face. Then vestibulocochlear. If you remember even a little bit about your ear, then you must have heard the name cochlea. Okay, this cochlea or vestibule even. So this vestibulocochlear is the part which is or the nerve which is present near your ear. Then glossopharyngeal. Glosso, wherever you hear the word glosso, it means your tongue. Okay, so glossopharyngeal means it has to do something with pharynx and your tongue. Then you have vagus, which is very, very important for us. We shall see. Accessory and hypoglossal. Again, glossal is coming. So glossal means your tongue and hypo means underneath your tongue. So this is a mnemonic to remember, and these are all the 12 nerves. Now we shall study them one by one and what type of nerve they are, from where they are originating or ending, and what their function is. The first nerve is called olfactory nerve. Okay, and it is sensory in nature. Okay, a sense of smell is sensation, right? So the nerve which will bring this sensation to the brain, it is sensory in nature. Where is it ending or where is it originating? The answer is cerebrum. Okay, so this sensory nerve is going to the cerebrum, specifically to your diencephalon. Okay, remember diencephalon, we studied in the cerebral hemispheres. Beneath the cerebral hemisphere you have diencephalon. So this diencephalon has the ending for olfactory nerve. The function is to conduct the impulses for smell. Okay, so if you smell a rose flower, then that smell will be picked up by your olfactory nerve. It will be brought to the olfactory lobe, and that olfactory lobe will be connected to your cerebrum, okay, or diencephalon to be specific. And that diencephalon, you will be able to realize that okay, you are smelling a rose. Then the second nerve is your optic nerve. Optic, you must have heard optometrist or optic store, right? So optic, from the name itself you can understand it has to do with eyes. It is also a sensory nerve ending in your cerebrum, and its function is in sight, okay, vision. Then comes oculomotor. Oculomotor, from the name only you can understand that it is a motor nerve. Motor nerve meaning it will start from the central nervous system like your brain, and it will end in the organ. Okay, here the organ, the end organ is eye. So the movement of eye is maintained by this oculomotor. You are able to move your eyes, right, in all the directions. So this is because of these oculomotor nerves. Okay, they bring the sensation, they bring the signal on which side you should move your eye. Then comes trochlear. Trochlear is also a motor nerve, and it is also related to movement of the eyeball. Fine, it is actually, if you talk about oculomotor, this is movement of your eye left, right, up and down. Trochlear is movement in rotational manner. Okay, this is just up, down, left, right, and trochlear is rotational. The fifth nerve is called trigeminal nerve. Trigeminal nerve, it begins from your pons. Okay, it is a mixed type of nerve. Mixed meaning it has sensory parts also as well as motor parts also. So what is this trigeminal doing? It has connections to your skin receptors. So on the skin, whatever the sensations are there, they will be picked up, and through this trigeminal nerve they will be carried to your brain. Okay, then your teeth, your gums, your lips, and then chewing function, all of these are maintained by the trigeminal nerve. The next nerve is abducens. Abducens also, it has to do with your pons. Okay, it is a motor kind of nerve, and it is related to movement of eyeball. When we study the eye, very briefly I will mention that there are different pairs of muscles, okay, involved in movement of one eyeball. There are about 6 muscles. So you can understand that all of these six muscles need to be innervated with different nerves. Okay, so here abducens is also related to the movement of your nerves. Sorry, your eyeball. Then you have facial nerve. Facial nerve is also a mixed nerve. It provides sensation to your brain. Okay, about what? So anterior two-third part of your tongue. Anterior मतलब आगे का. So आगे की जो tongue है, two-third portion of your tongue, which has all the taste buds. Okay, so all the taste receptors are present in your taste buds, and that taste will be carried on to the pons or to your brain through these facial nerves. Apart from that, the tasting of these things that you eat, okay, the food that you eat, the tasting of the food, the salivary secretion, then movement of your neck, all of this is uh, related to the facial muscle, okay, facial nerve, sorry, and the movement of facial muscle also, like you smile, you cry, or you make faces. So all of this is maintained by your facial nerve. Then the eighth nerve is auditory, or this nerve, it carries the sensation, okay, to your pons. And what is it related to? It is related to hearing and equilibrium. Fine. This is the nerve which is also known as vestibulocochlear nerve. Okay, the second name is auditory nerve, and from the name only you can say it has to do with audio. Audio means sound. So the sound from your ear, and the balance, okay, equilibrium will be the senses will be carried to your brain, especially to the pons part. Fine. Then the ninth nerve is called glossopharyngeal. It is a mixed type of nerve, and it has origin or ends in the medulla oblongata. What is this glossopharyngeal doing? It has the posterior one-third part of the nerve, okay, that is innervated with help of glossopharyngeal. This means that it has to do with tasting as well as food swallowing. So your tongue, it helps in swallowing food. This is maintained by your glossopharyngeal nerve. The 10th nerve is called vagus. It is also a mixed type of nerve. It is the only nerve that exits your skull. Okay, it is the only nerve which will leave your head and can go up till your back. Okay, so vagus is a mixed type of nerve for visceral sensation and movement. Again, because it is mixed, it will be receiving signals as well as sending signals. Fine. So for visceral sensation and movement. Visceral means all the organs which are not under your control. Fine. Then comes the ninth nerve, which is accessory nerve, sometimes referred to as accessory spinal nerve or spinal accessory nerve. It is actually a type of cranial nerve only. So important to remember. Accessory nerve is motor in nature, and it is responsible for movement of pharynx and larynx. Okay, so you are able to speak, you are able to swallow or breathe. That is because of larynx, and this larynx is under control of accessory nerve. Finally, you have hypoglossal, whose function is also motor, and this motor function, okay, it is for movement of your tongue. So when you are eating, when you are talking, this movement of tongue is managed, or the signals are managed by your hypoglossal nerve. Let us see in the diagrammatic view, okay, how these nerves are looking like, or where they are present, what their function is. This is a revision. So if you did not get any of the nerve in this table, pay attention here, because here we clear everything up. The first nerve you should have to remember is olfactory, right? So these bars that you see here are the olfactory nerves. And if you notice, this is your nose, okay? So nose, and this is called your nasal cavity. In your nasal cavity are the ends of your olfactory nerves. These are the olfactory nerves, okay? So these olfactory nerves, they pick up the sensation, like I told you, if you are smelling a rose flower, that rose fragrance will be picked up or will be sensed by these olfactory nerves. So they are sensory in nature. The olfactory nerves then bring this sensation, or bring this signal to your olfactory lobe. Olfactory lobe then carries it to the diencephalon. Clear? So this is the function of your olfactory nerve, which is nerve number 1. The second nerve is your optic nerve. As we shall see again when we study structure of eye, this optic nerve actually carries all the information from the retina. Okay, so whatever pictures you are able to see, this information will be carried through this optic nerve to your brain. Okay, and at the optic lobe, which are the posterior lobes on your cerebrum. Clear? So this nerve here is responsible for vision. Okay, carrying the messages for vision. It is also a sensory type of nerve. Then comes the 3 other nerves called oculomotor, trochlear, and abducens. Just focus on this. This is your eyeball. Okay, and on the eyeball, can you see a lot of muscles? These red colored ones are all muscles. Clear? So you have the side muscles. Okay, the ones which are present on left and right. These are called medial rectus muscles or lateral rectus muscles. Fine. So it actually begins like a lateral rectus muscle, but it has two portions. So this is called medius rectus muscles as well. You do not have to remember it, it is fine. So from the side you have muscles, okay, so lateral muscles. Then at the bottom and at the top also you have muscles. These are called superior oblique muscles and inferior oblique muscles. Clear? This one. This is inferior oblique. This is superior oblique. Oblique because they are going sideways, okay? They are like an oblique. Fine. Then you have superior rectus muscle. This is at the top of your eye. And inferior rectus muscle, which is at the bottom of your eye. Clear? So this way there are a lot of muscles present on your eye. Now let us look at the nerves. The first nerve that we saw, or the second nerve, sorry, is optic nerve, okay, which is shown very light in color here. What is the function of optic nerve? It is sensory and it is bringing the information from your retina to your brain. Fine. Now these 3 nerves, they are actually motor nerves, okay, they help in movement. So you can see the topmost nerve, which is going to your superior oblique muscle. Okay, that nerve is trochlear nerve. Fine. So it is connected to this portion which is called trochlea. Okay, and trochlea is doing what? It is connected to your superior oblique muscles. Fine. Then the side muscle, okay, which is lateral rectus muscle. This is connected with your abducens, which is this. Okay, so this is your abducens. And the third nerve is called oculomotor, and you can see this is the oculomotor nerve. It is getting divided into many branches, and all of these branches are innervating your different sorts of muscles. Okay, superior rectus muscle, then inferior rectus muscle. So if you remember, I had told you to look up and down. This oculomotor nerve is responsible. Okay, nerve number 3. So for looking up and down, then trochlear is for looking sideways or rotational movement of the eye, and abducens is for this movement of the eye. Okay, for your ciliary body. Ciliary body, I don't know if you remember, but these are the ciliary muscles. Okay, these ciliary muscles, they take care of thinning and thickening of your eye lens. So this eye lens is maintained by your ciliary muscle, and the ciliary muscle is connected with your abducens nerve. Clear? So these are the 3 nerves which are responsible for movement of your eye. And this is what it looks like. It is a very blurred picture, but you can see these are different muscles from front view, and this is your eyeball moving in all directions. And wherever you are seeing the green colored, that means that muscle is active, okay, in the movement of this eye. So if you want to have this rotational movement of the eye, all of the muscles and all of these 3 nerves are very important: oculomotor, trochlear, and abducens. Then come the trigeminal nerve and the facial nerve. So trigeminal, it starts like this. Then you have 3 branches. Okay. So if you put your palm there, okay, near your ear, and you put 3 fingers there, then they will be like this. Okay. The first branch will be near your eye. The second branch will be near your maxilla, and the lowermost branch will be near your mandible. Right. So The ophthalmic branch, from the name itself you can understand it is going to your eyes, okay, near your eyes. Then you have the maxillary branch. Maxilla is your upper jaw, okay, so maxillary branch, it is going to your upper jaw. And mandibular branch, which is going to your mandible or lower jaw, okay, it is helping in chewing, it is helping in speaking. So this is why this nerve is important, okay. This lower or inferior mandibular branch, no, it is also known as dentist's nerve, because that is the branch which is um, uh, what you can say, numbed, okay. So if you go to a dentist और वो आपको कोई injection देता है to anesthetize that part, so that anesthesia works on these nerves, okay, which are called dentist's nerve before working on your teeth, okay, fine. Then you have facial nerve. Facial nerve also you can see it comes, then it branches off into various different organs. It is going to your lacrimal glands. Lacrimal glands are also called tear glands. आंसू आना, तो आंसू जो आते हैं, that gland is under control of your facial nerve. Clear? Then it is also controlling what? It is controlling your sublingual gland. This gland is salivary gland present under your tongue. Okay. Then it is connected to your parotid also. So you can see this facial nerve is connected to a lot of things. It is also connected to your facial muscles. So when you smile, when you are angry, when you make faces, this is because of the function of facial nerve. If, yeah, again, if your facial nerve is anesthetized or it is not working, then those muscles of your face will not work, okay, as seen in stroke. Have you seen in a case of stroke, some parts of your face do not work, and this is because of the facial nerve not working, or the part of the brain which is responsible for working of that part of your face is not working. Okay, so it could either be a damage to facial nerve, or it could be because of the damage to your brain. Then comes vagus nerve. As I told you, it is the most important nerve, nerve number 10. This vagus nerve, it exits your skull, and it is responsible for maintaining your visceral organs, okay, the function of visceral organs. Visceral organs are the organs which are not under your control, right, like heart, lungs, liver, gallbladder, stomach, intestines, even your gonads. All of these are under control of vagus nerve. Yeah, so the sensation from these organs are brought to the brain, and from the brain all of the signals are given to these organs through vagus nerve. Then you have glossopharyngeal nerve. This here is a glossopharyngeal nerve. As you can see, it is going to your parotid gland. Parotid gland is a type of salivary gland present near your jaw, okay, near your ear. And then it is even going to your what you can say, pharynx, okay, it is going to your pharynx, so it will be helping in salivation as well as in your swallowing. And you can see that swallowing is also a part of the function of your tongue, okay, so this one portion of the nerve is going to your tongue as well. So glossopharyngeal nerve. Then you have hypoglossal and accessory nerve. Hypoglossal is found here, it is going to your the base of your tongue, which is shown here, okay. So the muscles and the base of your tongue is maintained by the hypoglossal nerve. And finally you have the accessory nerve, which will control these muscles, which are the trapezius muscle or the muscle of your neck, okay. So movement of your neck is by help of these trapezius muscle, which are innervated by accessory nerve. So here we end today's lecture. We have covered the spinal cord, its structure, its function, and we have covered the peripheral nervous system, its types, again its function. Then we saw the 12 different types of cranial nerves. And now your homework is to write the differences between parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system. These both are parts of your autonomic nervous system. So I want you to write down these differences, and from these differences, like I keep on telling you, you will be able to understand a lot of things, okay. Normally parasympathetic is called rest and digest, which means it is bringing everything back to normal. And sympathetic is when you have to fight or flight. Okay, so just try and find out the differences between these two, and that is your homework. See you next time, and we shall be talking about the reflex. No, actually, we shall be talking about the nerve impulse conduction, and then we will be talking about the reflex actions. So, see you next time.